Hello friends, welcome to my channel Live in Germany once again. So I would like to thank from bottom of my heart all the 541 subscribers. That's a really huge support and the last video was a good success. So if you're new to the channel, please do subscribe and show your support. So today the topic is about recession and especially the EU in recession or Germany, how it affects. So I have collected some information from online. I put the sources as always. It's in German, so you can translate and read. So whatever I put is a translation. So if there is any changes, please to make it in comment so that others can understand. So before we move on to the content, I have a friend who is willing to sell a car, and it's a BMW 318i 2004 model, 2,15,000 kilometers, and it's in running condition. I sat in the car and drove with it, so it's really good. So it's 1,200 euros inclusive winter tires. I have put the person's name and contact number and also some photos. So this is I'm just doing a favor for a friend. So if anybody here who are a subscriber or not a subscriber needs some help, they want to post something for free, especially free, please do contact. I am always to help a fellow Indian or any other person who's living in Germany. So please don't hesitate. So I added a new section which I think could be interesting for us if you're following my videos. So it's like the word of the day. So German word of the day or words of the day today is about Wirtschaft. The article is also about it. So Wirtschaft means business. It's a feminine word. Because I put in positive as it is, first of all, brings money, employment, and a lot of other benefits. And Wirtschaftskrise, it's also a feminine word. It means economic recession. So these are two words. So if you're following my videos, you could learn at least one or two words with each of my videos. So it's another idea. So I've structured my video first like economy. So I'll speak about it. So what's happening in EU economy right now? The EU economy has halved its growth in the second quarter. So each quarter in Germany, in EU countries, like from Jan to March, March to April, and so on. So it has halved. And also you can see the GDP, the gross domestic product or something like that. It increased between April and June only by 0.2%, which is from the official Eurostat website, so which is kind of very low. So economists actually expected that compared to the first quarter, which had 0.4%, this would rise. So this is kind of a huge shock for them, and the EU Commission now has changed their view that they expect a growth of only 1.2% for the whole EU and also around 1.5% in 2020. So for those who find these numbers weird, please don't worry. We will speak more descriptive and more informative in the next slide. So this is for those who want the actual figures and numbers to understand. So next is about Germany. As we all know, Germany is the actual economic engine in EU along with its partners as well. And its economic output or industrial output has dropped almost 1.5% in June, so which is a lot. So for compared to our home countries, especially India, from where I come from, the the GDP and the budget of Germany is comparatively much higher. So when they say 1.5, it's huge. And it's also down 5.2% year on year. That means compared to last year June and this year's June, I think the industrial output is 5.2% down, which is large. So this is what's happening, and this is also the reason that motivated me to make this video. So I'm just going to tell who spoke what about this and what we can infer. It's not just my inference, and I put all the comments which I found, I mean the quotes which I found. I read some of those. If you're interested, please pause the video and read everything. So the first one is, yes, we noticed a downturn. It came from the head of the car supply, ZF. ZF is in Friedrichshafen. Most of us know it. They are really huge. They employ a lot of people. They're into automotive, marine, trucks, and a lot of things. So he spoke like that. And next one is the CEO of engine manufacturer Deutsch. He said, on the market side, we probably crossed the peak. That means he says that compared to the last recession, we now grow and then we touch the peak and it has to come down anyway. So this is the feedback. And the other person is from Bosch. We already know like Bosch has planned to cut a lot of jobs in Germany. So what they said is the environment has become challenging for them as well. So these are the huge players. As we know, I would just stop with one more in this slide, which is from Deutsche Bank. Most of us has an account there, so I also think it's relevant. Yeah, they have planned to cut 18,000 jobs all over the world, or in Germany, if I'm not wrong, which I read. So they want to come out of the crisis, so they're planning to cut jobs in order to save some money out of it. So what he said is, of course, a substantial number of jobs will also disappear in Germany, was what he said. So these are the top people, I would say, in Germany who can actually influence the economy, or they know more than us. So this is what they say. So the next slide, I put some more information. I don't want to read all. I just want to quote just one because it's important. From Centix. Centix is a barometer which measures how good business environment is in Germany, for example. So when this is high, it means that there is a good thing. But compared to now, if I'm not wrong, it is at its lowest point. That means the Centix values has dropped so low in compared to the last decade. So they say a recession in Germany seems inevitable. That means it will come, it has to come, it must come. That's what Mr. Patrick Hussey, the managing director of Centric, has said. So this is what they said, and this kind of looks hopeless. So I will not put hopeless, sorry for that. Kind of looks scaring, at least for me, I would say. So I just had a look like what are the reasons for recession actually. So the 5 points which I found were these. First is US and China trade conflict, which we hear. Either we are from any part of the country, we are getting affected because of this. Next is Brexit, that's the Britain leaving the EU. And third is the whole world economy is now facing a slowdown in general. And fourth is the currency conflict. I think most of us would not have known this fourth and fifth. So currency conflict is because each country which wants to export is trying to devalue the currency in order to gain more money, if I'm not wrong. So if there is an economist who's watching my video, please to explain more about it. Yeah. And fifth is loss of investment interest. I already mentioned in Centix value. There are also other barometers from different economic institutes which actually tells like how good an investment interest is. So now they feel it's at its lowest point. So these are the 5 main points I found, and I would also add 2 economists' views which I found very interesting and relevant. So first of all, we need to understand why this is causing it. Yeah. So first person I choose is Carsten Bresky. He's a chief economist at ING Group, and he gave a recent interview to Washington Post, and this is what he said. So how do we understand this problem? The first thing is we should understand the key point. USA is the first biggest export market of Germany, and China is the third biggest market of Germany. So if these 2 markets are in a dispute, we will have a huge problem. I think they are also a huge market for other players as well from EU. That's the reason. The other point he said is almost 2/3 of export goes to countries outside Eurozone. That means whatever Germany produces is going 2/3 out of the country, and we are highly dependent on it. So that's the reason because of this. Other thing he says is the vulnerability has increased because Germany is highly dependent on manufacturing goods and cars. Actually, this is the strength of Germany, which is actually becoming now its weakness, and we'll see the reasons because why is it actually. And the fourth main point he actually mentions is the strong ripple effect. Ripple means like it keeps the chain, and this is because he says even though USA and China trade conflict will not affect us directly, it becomes economic slowdown in other countries where we export to, or in USA itself, which will cause further damages to the export market or our products, especially German. And also the other reason that he mentions is absence of domestic economic reforms from the German government. It's not enough. That's what he means. And the weaker performing EU economy. This we know that the Italy, the Greek or the Spain is in debt crisis, and last year they tried to pull out. Now when Germany itself is having a problem, I don't know how they're going to manage. So what he mentioned is based on the whole numbers, he said the figures are devastating with no silver lining. So that's what he meant. So yeah, his views I think are very precise and accurate based on statistics. So I like this perspective. Other economist which I found very interesting is Mr. Gustav Horn. He's a German economist, and what he said in general is he actually predicted this would happen. He said like President Trump's flirtation with protectionism is sending out shockwaves. That means protectively he is putting policies in order to avoid a lot of imports, which is actually sending a lot of shockwaves along with USA's natural trading partners like Germany especially. That's what he mentioned. But as he cautioned, exactly 1 month afterward, USA or Trump especially put tariffs on steel and aluminium from EU, so which caused a real panic. What EU in turn did was they put taxes on whiskey and motorcycles, but this actually didn't put a lot of effect or impact on Germany itself directly. But when this keeps on repeating like what they do with China, this will actually have a huge effect. So the next one is about what different industry people spoke. So let's move on. Yeah. So what the Federation of German Industry actually says, it's called BDI, Bundesverband der Deutschen Industrie, e.V. So they have put some points, and its managing executive or federation chief executive, Mr. Joachim Long. What they have said is, like, if Trump puts this 10% tariff on additional Chinese goods from September 1, what can happen? So it means like it will not only hurt China and USA, but it will also hurt the other world economy. That's what he meant. And the other comment they put strongly what the situation could worsen in fall. That means the coming autumn, because of escalating trade and currency disputes. So it's kind of repetition for some. I think this is also what they strongly mention. Now let's see industry wise. Now this is the general idea which the whole federation has, and the next is industry wise. So first I'll take the car company or the car industry. So what they have said is, if the like Trump has actually threatened Germans, like saying like we'll put 20% tariff on your German cars in order to avoid it from entering our streets and flooding it. So if this happens, they made a calculation, it will hit 0.2% GDP, which is kind of high for a high budget country. And the other problem that the car industry is actually facing right now, as we all know, it's because of this emission scandal. The reputation of these brands have been lost. And another important thing is, a lot of other countries are investing huge on electrical and hybrid vehicles, developing technologies. So the general idea is the car makers are actually lagging in this aspect, at least the German car makers. So this is what is dragging the car industry basically. And what is also happening right now, some statistics for you, like 200 investors have put a claim on Porsche, which is also a company of Volkswagen, and said that they are waiting on claims totaling 1.1 billion euros. So they have put on various reasons. One reason is they have put on a thing there that Porsche has broken the trust by not disclosing information that they know already about this emission scandal. So this is one reason. So the whole reparation cost of this exhaust gas scandal has cost the Wolfsburg, that's Volkswagen if I'm not wrong, in US alone to 25 billion euro. This is quite a huge sum, and including the fines in Germany and everything together, it comes around 30 billion euros, which is a huge money. So after spending on giving out so much money out, it will take some time for them to require, and along with this problem from Trump, who's killing everybody literally, is creating a huge problem. And next is the auto supplier. So we saw the OEM and now the auto supplier. So two suppliers I took. One is Hella. Hella is one of a well-known highlight specialists. There are also its competitors. It's also huge, and they said like they are facing a loss for the first time in 10 years. So they were designing a lot of lamps, selling in huge numbers, but now they think they might face a loss. So which is kind of not a positive sign. So they say like we don't see any market recovery. It came from Mr. Rolf Bredenbach in Dusseldorf. That's why the companies. The other huge thing I found is Mahle, who's a radiator manufacturer, has closed one of its plants in Oregon. So if you're in Oregon, please put a comment like what's it's actually about. I just found this one data. So these are the major industries which I found. There are also other groups which have more information, so I'll just pick one or two. So the metal industry, which is called the Gesamtmetall. So this is the whole collective of metal and electro industry. So what they said, the chief economist there, Mr. Michael Stahl, said the recession is here. So the industry is actually feeling it. So let's see like what are the statistics they are having. The production fell between April and June by 2.4% compared to previous quarter. So that means their number has dropped around 2.4%, and they say like the first half of the year itself is 4.9% less compared to previous year. So which is also a huge number, because lot of employment is being created by this industry, and when they say it's a 4.5, it's huge. And on the whole, they say this is the production cuts, the number of shift cuts, I mean the number of shift has been reduced also in some companies, is because of the information they said that they're facing a deficit order. That means there is not enough orders to fulfill. So 30% have companies have come along with this. I hope it reduces or doesn't increase. So this is what they came. And next is steel manufacturer. I just picked out few examples. We know also Tyson Group, they also put some article recently. So one I picked is Salzgitter. what they have said is it's a huge company, and they said their profit has dropped almost 80%, which is really huge, and has come to 19.4. So once they were in billion, if I'm not wrong, the revenues and profits, and now it has dropped to millions. So, and also very little amount compared to its size. So they say the major reason is crisis in automotive industry. So when one industry is getting affected, the other industries also feels the heat. So this is one reason, an increase in raw material. And also one thing which I would remind from my previous slide, that they have put a tariff of export of this metal product from Germany. So this is one reason. So let's move on. Sports Adidas, I mean sports goods. One is Adidas. So Adidas is kind of the second largest sports goods country, and there is a positive news actually from this. So they are actually want still achieve their target profit, and they say that they can make it. So Mr. Dane said he can make it, and he said the business is growing kind of huge, and it generates almost 25% of its business in China and produces 20% of its goods there. So it's a positive and negative. So they actually produced a lot of profit in China but now with this currency war, they said it can hit them very hard. And also this production based in China, we don't know like what new problems might end up. But for now, Adidas is really doing good, and also the other sports industries. So let's look like how China affects overall, because every time I say US China, why is it so important? So first thing, China is also getting affected. Yeah, the Chinese car market has shrunk. I mean, it got reduced by approximately 3.8%, and this means the buying capacity of people has reduced. And as you know that Volkswagen has 40% of its sales in China. So when the car market reduces, it directly hits their sales, in turn the profit, and in turn the other industry. And also Daimler and BMW is also having a huge industry and sales numbers there. I didn't know the codes, but I think approximately it's around the same numbers, I hope. So that is indirectly causing an effect. Now let's see like what are the regions that's actually getting affected in Germany. So in terms of topics, I would say it is actually affecting the companies in metal industry, we all know, and in cylinder blocks and engines. And what they found is, Mr. Pulse especially said, is an economist in Institute of German Economics. The most of the companies are situated in NRW, the state of NRW and Saarland. So if you are there, please do be careful and then be updated what's happening in your company. But one good news that what he also mentioned is the German manufacturers in the previous years have built a pile of money, and they would be able to match it. So they're also getting themselves established not in Germany but other growing markets, so they might be able to handle. So that's a positive view from his perspective. So now for all the bad news is gone, let's go for the hopes. There are three hopes which I found. So first thing, the IFO Institute, which is also an economic research institute, they said like if the US is putting a lot of strain on the import from China, this can be replaced by EU, and EU can start exporting a lot to US. So they made a small calculation. Mr. President Clemens Forst has put some data. They said like Germany's revenue because of trade with US will increase by 94 million euros, France by 129 million euros, Italy 183, Spain by 25, United Kingdom by 86, and in total the benefits will come around 1 billion euros. I hope Trump doesn't put another tariff on EU and spoil this, but they have given a positive perspective to this also. And which is actually important to us is the unemployment rate, the people who are not employed. So it's actually dropped to 6.3 in June, which is actually kind of the lowest in the whole EU, not Germany but whole EU. And when you take the 19 member state, which they call the EA19, if I'm not wrong, it dropped to 7.5, which is also low. So even though there's a crisis, people are still employed, they are still in jobs, so which looks kind of positive. So the next slide I took from the Eurostat. You can also check the website, it's in English also. You can see the second is 3.1 in Germany, so the current unemployment rate in Germany is 3.1. It's easily adjusted, and it is not so bad. So although the production is cutting, the companies have already faced this, so they are taking precautionary action, but not sending workers out of their jobs as of now, so which is good. Other thing is, you can see this graph which has been from 2000. Unemployment rate in European Union and Euro area in general is kind of it's low right now. So as long as this is good, we are all employed, paid well. And some economists also told some companies are focusing reducing the working hours but not sending people out. but using the extra time to train them. So maybe till this recession phase passes away, they can use this time. So this is one. And the current inflation, this is also one positive news. In the previous months we had some bad news about inflation, but now I don't want to go into all details. Yeah, thing is, the inflation is increasing, which means that the German employees will get more wages. So what the economists think is, if the wages are increased, they will spend more, so the domestic economy will be robust. So this is what the idea. Just few graphs, like the energy has increased by 2.4%, the food has increased by 2.1%, but compared to the previous months it's less, but still it's okay. And the fruit has cheapened by 4.4%, but on the whole it's increased a bit. And EU has a target inflation of 2% as an information for you guys. So it's always between 1.6 and 1.7 normally. So I think this can push the wages high and in turn help us all out. So thanks for watching the video. Don't be disheartened and take this as a positive and stay prepared. One additional information is they're expecting the actual hit on middle class people to start from March 2020. So be prepared. I'm making my next video to show how to prepare for recession, like something I collected. I was in during the recession time in Germany last time, so I think I have some experience. I'll get also input from other people and also my own views. So thanks for joining with me. Please do connect on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Reddit. So we are there. Join the group, be active in discussions, and thanks, and subscribe and show your support, and see you next time in the next video. Bye bye.